Welcome to True Stories Night. I'm Lamide Akintobi. On True Stories Night, we take real stories as told to us on Classic Moments with Mo and see how they apply to our lives today. On tonight's episode, when the one you love is a fellow sickle cell gene carrier, do you stop before the wedding bells? Do you go ahead and damn the consequences? Is love enough where sickle cell is concerned? Let's look at some numbers.
Sickle cell disease is a group of inherited red blood cell disorders in which the red blood cells become hard and sticky and look like a C-shaped farm tool called a sickle. The disease affects 20 to 25 million people globally, and 50 to 80% of infants born with SCD in Africa die before the age of 5. Research from 2012 claims that annually 240,000 children are born with SCD in sub-Saharan Africa, and Nigeria alone accounts for more than 100,000 new births every year. The high mortality rates in sub-Saharan Africa are due to factors such as limited resources, leading to poor access to care and lack of comprehensive management programs.
Welcome back. We're still asking if love is enough when sickle cell is a factor. Would you choose to marry and have children knowing the difficulties in store? Let's hear from some people with different views.
I know a couple of people that have sickle cell, and that made me aware of the reason why they were born with that condition. Because at first I couldn't understand it, you know. So why does this child, why does this young lady or young boy that has done nothing have to go through all of this pain, you know? And it's unfortunately, and as harsh as it might sound, it's because of the actions of their parents. Maybe unknowingly, maybe due to ignorance.
I am aware of the importance of knowing your genotype. I was taught in secondary school that if an AS person marries an AS person, there's a likelihood that they would have an SS child. Now, it's not 100% guaranteed that they will have an SS child, but it's a risk. So now the issue is, how people respond to this? Some people decide, you know what, it's a risk I can take because I love this person. Personally, I doubt.
Frankly speaking, I wouldn't advise someone that is AS and SS to be in love together. Or they can be in love, but talking about marriage and being together at the long run, it will be a great repercussion for the children to be born. Because by the time AS and AS marry together, if we cross-link these two genotypes together, definitely the child will be giving birth to will be either AS or SS. And if you are giving birth to a child that is AS or SS, at the long run, they will be more or less like, the financial implication will be too much.
I am an AS carrier. So when I meet a guy, in the first few conversations, I'm like, bro, you know the way you're asking, what do you do? What are your hobbies? I'm like, what's your genotype, bro? I'm not here to be investing feelings. And along the line, I realize that you are AS. And then we'll start crying and say, this cannot work. No. So from the beginning, I'm using style to find out your genotype. And if you're AA, then we can now proceed. So no, I won't marry an AS person. I won't marry an SS person because I want the best for my children.
Can we maybe get to a point where nobody is SS anymore? We can, right? If every single person is responsible about it, right? So if as an AS person, you make it a point of duty to make sure that you marry someone that is of the AA genotype, you know, slowly but gradually we can get to a point where there's no sickle cell patients anymore.
Love doesn't determine whether you're marrying AS or SS. You have to look towards the future and determine what is best for the both of you.
I've seen people go through so many experiences, the sickle cell carriers. It's a painful thing to watch. At that time, love flies out of the window. You and your husband are not thinking of how much you love each other. You're thinking of the pain, the narcotics that these people have to take to reduce the pain. I don't think anybody should go through that. So no, I won't do that.
I know the pain. I knew it and I still know it. But in my own case, I was very fortunate that whenever the pain is on, people are all over me. It could last for about 1 week or more, but people will be there. They will not go anywhere. They will be there with me, you know, showering me with love and all the rest. Actually, before we got married, it was there with me at one point or the other. There was this crisis that I had. It was very major. It lasted for about 2 weeks. He was there.
He was there with you?
He was there with me.
But your SS,
Yeah.
And Mr. Ashayegbe, you are AS, right? So before you married Mrs. Ashayegbe, you knew what you were going into because you saw the pain. Yes. But did you not think that if you have a child that has SS, this child will go through this same pain that your wife to be was going through?
Yeah, actually, I'm aware of the pain that is involved. But the question is, there are a lot of people that have other diseases or other disorders who have similar pains. Would they say because of that, or maybe in the end, maybe they've even gotten married then, and then they now discover they have such issue or such pain? Would they at that point separate? You understand? Those are the questions you need to answer. You understand? Except that you are considering the child that you give birth to. And there are chances that you don't have an SS.
I mean, how many children do you have?
We have 3 kids.
3. And
yes.
Is Grace the only one that's SS?
She has been doing fine. She's okay. Maybe we could say she had crisis once or twice, but it was out of carelessness or something.
Whenever she goes to school, and I've seen that she's going, more than necessary. She's doing what she ought not to do. I'll stop her and I'll make sure she rests. Then water is another thing that I can't, very important. I take fluid very often, and all kind of food, and I make sure she takes as well, and eats very well, of course.
I do what I know I can, but when it's getting to the limit, I just won't go there no longer, because I won't want a situation whereby I will be in pain.
What I ensure, especially for Grace, is that I ensure that she doesn't get caught up with any malaria. Instruct her, treat your room. Very simple, and make sure that she takes her water regularly. Just by God's grace.
What are the other options? If you really love each other, and we're saying, is love enough? Fine, you guys really love each other, you want to be together. Is it an option to adopt? But you're saying that, yes, I understand, that even in an African setting that...
we opt for is the option we opted for, that's knowing God.
She got pregnant. I said, wow, why don't we go to the lab? I was prepared to marry her. We were both madly in love. I took her to the laboratory. I didn't want anyone to falsify results for me. So we went there together. And when the laboratory man gave us the result, he actually gave it to me. I opened the envelope, and the moment I looked at it, something happened to my face. Everything went cloudy. And she saw it and read something in it, that something must be wrong. So I told her, let's get home first. Let's get home. So I sat her down and told her, look, and she was hearing this for the first time, that my genotype was SS. I told her, I am SS, you are AS. There's no way I could continue with this relationship. She broke down in tears. I looked at her, I felt very sorry for her. But I was thinking of the
unborn child.
We had to terminate it on my insistence. Having gone through it, I didn't want my own child to go through the same thing.
2 different stories, 2 interesting experiences. After the break, people living with sickle cell disorder share their true stories, and I'll have an expert in the studio. Hearing those stories are heart-wrenching, and the reality isn't different today, or is it? I'm joined by Maureen Onwachi, a sickle cell advocate from the Sickle Cell Advocacy and Management Initiative. Thank you for joining me today.
I'm happy to be here.
So, I mean, yes, we've heard some stories that, obviously, of people who are, living with sickle cell, and it's been really, really tough. What's been your story?
I wouldn't say it's been fun all the way, but it's been good. It's been good. Growing up, I didn't have much stigma compared to a lot of people. I didn't have much stigma, and it was quite okay till I think my mid-20s, when I had my first stigma, when I was in a relationship, and the parents had to disagree to him marrying me and all that. So that was the first time it dawned on me that sickle cell is really a big issue to people in Africa. So But all in all, it's been okay. I'm not one of those that go into the hospital very often. So I know I've been off crisis for 5 years before.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and whatever I put my mind to do, I actually get it done.
What is your opinion in general, though, of the stigma that in general, you know, people do face when they're going into relationships, either being AS and AS or actually being or carrying the SS genotype and then going into a relationship?
Well, it's when two adults decide to do something, you can't stop them. I really don't tell people, no, don't do it, or yes, go ahead. Or I'll always urge them to, you know, look at the whole subject matter, you know, try to understand it and see if they can, you know, actually handle whatever it takes. It's heart-rending, like you earlier said. It's energy sapping. Financially, it's draining. So they really need to look at it from all that side, because once the love flies out the window, sometimes, yes, the whole mushy feeling, it's going to disappear at some point. And so what will keep you going on then? Are you ready to? I always ask them. Sometimes I tell them, go out to some of these support groups like Sickle Cell Advocacy and Management. Come and visit us during clinic days. Come and gist with parents. Come and gist with the young adults there. Come and hear personal stories. Don't just think, okay, you see Maureen, she has been managing all this while, so you feel if she has done it, so maybe my wife or my husband or my child, as the case may be. So that's my advice. That's always my advice.
Okay, well, good advice there. We're going to come back to you in just a moment. When we come back, we'll still have Maureen with us, and we'll still be talking about whether or not love is enough. Stay with us. Now I would like to ask you about your opinion on whether or not it's a bit short-sighted of us here in Africa, those of us on the outside looking in, because we don't live with the disorder for many of us, but for those who do, is it short-sighted for those who don't to say, well, sorry, that's your luck, but don't have kids, or don't be with the person that you love because of this particular thing, which is not your fault?
I don't know. I'll have to say maybe yes and no. It all depends. Yes, it's going to look it's going to hurt when you actually say something like that too, because you know how emotional feelings are. So it's going to look like these people don't understand, they are being wicked and all that. But on the other hand, if we look at it deeply, they do care. They do care for saying such. So, well, there's no definite.
I'm trying to pin you down.
Yes. Mm-hmm. There's no definite answer for that.
Now, in the future, what would you like the story to be? How would you like the story to change of sickle cell disorder, love, managing life, and just thriving as a person?
I would actually love it to look like this. There's nothing wrong with adoption. If you feel love is the only thing in this world you have to live for, then go for it, but don't bring somebody else to suffer. Either the same faith you're suffering depends now, or so on, because sometimes when you're on the other side, you really don't understand. So that's just it. There's nothing wrong with adoption. There's nothing wrong with being married and saying, I don't want to have kids. I hope we get to that. I hope we in Africa get to that. So that's
okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, we have many more angles to discuss, but we hope that we've got you thinking, and we hope that you learned something new today. We'll see you next week with another true story. Thank you for watching.